There's a reason they call it the silent killer. You don't know it's there. Most of the country is getting ready to enter autumn and winter, where heaters are going to have to be used. And even in climates where it stays nice year-round, meaning they don't have a real winter, heaters are still used. They're used to take the chill out of the air. An area where we are, like the Coachella Valley, a lot of times we'll run a no heat call early in the morning, and then the very next call is a no cool call, because people are turning their heaters on in the morning, and then they're going to turn them on later in the day of the air conditioner. So one thing you want to make sure you do, if you do it regularly, fantastic, you know the gig. If you don't, get it done. Well, if you got a newer system, start fresh. If you got an older system, make sure it's operating efficiently and safely for your family. But get a tune-up done, get the maintenance done. This is one of the things people always say, well, can't you do them both at the same time? We sure can, but you usually don't want people running your heater in the summertime. So call a licensed HVAC professional. Have them come out and do a thorough tune-up and maintenance on your heating system, especially gas as well as heat pumps. The heat pumps uses electricity, runs the air conditioner in reverse. The furnace uses natural gas or propane to heat your home. Now, the proper maintenance is very, very important, because why? Especially if you have a furnace. It produces a controlled flame inside your home, right? It burns gas, and there's so many safeties that are built into that system. I always say they're like dominoes. They all have to fall in order, and if they do, the system will turn on. If one of those doesn't fall as it should, the system's not going to turn on. So you want to make sure those safeties are in place, functioning properly. I'll give you an example. Imagine your furnace is running, and gas is pumping into your furnace, and the flame is burning, and something happens and that flame goes out. There's a safety to shut the gas off so gas doesn't continue to pour into the furnace and not be burned off. Now imagine that flame is going, the gas is flowing, the flame is going, and the blower motor that pushes that hot air throughout the ductwork in your home, that blower motor fails. That flame has to shut off and the gas has to shut off, because if it doesn't, that's going to heat up and start a fire, right? Your system has to evacuate the combustible gases safely out of your home with proper clearances and no leakage of carbon monoxide. That needs to be tested to make sure nothing has happened. I can't tell you the homes I've gone into where you go up there and the flue pipe is literally come unattached. Could be when they installed it, they didn't mount it properly. Could be California, we get some earthquakes. That happens, right? You want to make sure your burners, your gas pressures are right. The burners are cleaned. You want to make sure the whole system itself is clean of dirt, dust, and debris. Also, what we see occasionally is you will have mice or birds build nests on top of the flue pipe, or actually we found them get inside the heat exchanger and cause a blockage, all right? You want to make sure that all of that's working properly and functioning properly. The other thing is, there's a safety, it's called a rollout. And a rollout is if, let's say, somebody took residence in your heat exchanger, or the flue pipe became blocked. Either somebody took up residence in the flue pipe, or the cap rusted and fell down, or something like that. You can get a rollout, which means the flame rolls out of the furnace. Well, there's a rollout safety that shuts the furnace down. And there's signs. You can tell if a system's been rolling out frequently, because you can see carbon and things like that built up. So get your system tuned up, call a licensed HVAC contractor, make sure it's ready for season. You don't have to be in the middle of wintertime to get it done, and you don't have to be even out of summer to get it done. Just know they're going to have to heat your house up a little bit because it has to run, and there's certain things that have to be tested. Make sure you find out from the contractor what all is included in that checkup. They should be able to give you a list, and that you're going to get a report showing everything that was checked when they were done, and you're going to get, we like to give a red, yellow, green. If everything's perfect, fine, it gets green. If it's fine, but it's maybe outside of limits, or it could soon become a concern, then it's going to be a yellow. And what would be an example of that? Well, we have capacitors that help push the motors to get them started. So if your capacitor, there's usually a 3% to 5% range it should operate in. And if your capacitor is, let's say, under what it should be by 2%, well, it's not at 3% yet. So I'm going to mark that as a yellow, and I'm going to tell you, hey, listen, this is the rating of your capacitor. It shows right here, plus or minus 3%. You're actually minus 2% right now, so you're fine. And it may stay like that for a very long time, but we're going to have to watch it. And our next maintenance, we'll check it again. but that's a yellow. So it's something that you might want to take care of today to avoid any problems or future issues, or we'll just let it go. But I just want to let you know it's on the borderline. Red would be if that capacitor was outside of that plus or minus 3%. I hope that explains how those color codings work. It kind of, when you get your car vehicle, they use the same thing. It's a really good communication tool. People tend to get what that means, right? It's like a stoplight. Yellow doesn't mean speed up, right? And yellow doesn't mean something's dead. It just depends on are you proactive or reactive? And if I leave here today and I mark this yellow and I say, hey, we should probably take care of this to be proactive, and you say no, and we come back a day later because it failed, then at least you knew. So how are they going to communicate that to? When selecting a contractor, what are they going to do? How are they going to communicate their findings? Those are very important things to know. Are they going to test carbon monoxide in the home? Are they going to make sure that your carbon monoxide levels are zero, are not present? That should be something that is done on every single heating maintenance. There's a reason they call it the silent killer. You don't know it's there. And tragically, carbon monoxide kills many, many people a year. In fact, that's why in California, it's now a law, has been for a while, that any new structures, or if you pull a permit on an existing structure, carbon monoxide detectors have to be upgraded and installed. So even if you're in a home that doesn't have carbon monoxide detectors, get them installed. Protect your family.